Hello and welcome to this week's Rotherham Advertiser SportsChat Podcast. We've got a full house around the table this week to discuss the Rotherham's defeat against Charlton on Saturday, as well as look forward to the crunch game against Bolton next week, and also it's transfer deadline day, so we might try and get a mention about that in as well. Joining me is news editor Michael Upton.
Hello.
Miller's correspondent David Beddows.
Good morning.
And the one and only columnist for the Rotherham Advertiser, Charlie Graves.
And a very sad good morning to you.
Gentlemen, Dave, to start off with, it wasn't a good performance on Saturday, was it, no matter which way you look at it from Rotherham United?
No, it was quite dreadful, wasn't it, really? Daft thing is that even in the later stage of the first half, Charlton still looked a poor side and a nervous side. But I think Rotherham was so intent on winning the game and pressing that they forgot the basics, keeping the shape and closing down space, and Charlton just revelled in it. They got one or two lads around on the break, and the game just ran away from the Millers, and of course it was compounded by that penalty miss from Joe Cawthorn.
Well, just to go back to the game ever so slightly, it sort of harked back to the first game of the season against MK Dons, didn't it? A lot of expectation from the fans against a team who Rotherham maybe beforehand were expecting to get something against, and then this absolute dire showing where for about 20 minutes of the first half Rotherham looked in it, and then for the rest of the time they were nowhere near.
I mean, they showed no passion or imagination up front in the final third, and they were undone by two front men for Charlton who put themselves about, created havoc, wound everybody up, and did exactly what they needed to do to win the game. I mean, I wish we'd have had either one of them, because they really were good. Rotherham didn't create any great atmosphere among the crowd. It was very quiet. But you know, the crowd aren't going to cheer them on, are they, if they're playing rubbish?
Well, Makienok, the Danish striker for Charlton, him and Kurt Broadfoot had a few spats, didn't they, throughout the game, and that could have just thrown the skipper off his way, couldn't it? Because
he wound him up. Wound him up. Did exactly what he was
and
doing.
Kurt Broadfoot fell for it.
And he fell for it. And he wound the crowd up, and he did what a great... I wish we'd have had him. What a great player.
It's unprofessional, isn't it? That's the thing. I mean, I hate to say it, but Kurt Broadfoot's got form on this. He's not the coolest heading kind of guy, and he got himself nicely banned earlier this season for just this sort of thing, allowing someone to get in his head. Now, from Dave's analysis, he was out of position throughout the 4 goals. Clearly wasn't concentrating 100% on his role.
Dave, is it how some fans on social media following that game have really laid into Kurt Broadfoot? He has been one of the standout performers this season, and he's got the armband on now. What was that? A bad day at the office, or fans being a little bit too critical? What's your view on Kurt
I think
Broadfoot?
it was thrown into sharper focus because the sponsors contrived to make him man of the match. He's
the most disgraceful, ludicrous decision.
Who would you have gone for then, Charlie? Who played better?
I wouldn't have picked anybody. I don't think anybody deserves it.
To be honest, I think I've said this before. The idea that you lose by 3 goals and you still give a man of the match is ridiculous. I know the sponsors have paid their money to have their name read out, but what can they not pick an opposition player for crying out loud?
You must have had too much to drink at half time, I think, in the sponsors' lounge.
Just going back to that penalty kick then, Johnson Clark-Harris well off target. Obviously it worked against Bristol City, where he absolutely thumped it and he was the man of the moment. Tried the same again, and there was 1 or 2 Charlton fans in Rose Ed who were trying to catch the ball, Dave. It was disappointing, weren't it, because Rotherham could have got back in the game with a goal there with 10-15 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 6-0 up and you're Hollywooding, and you can afford to take a swipe at a penalty, can't you? I mean, but the guy, he didn't get his knee over it, he didn't get the base, and he hit Rose Ed, didn't he? And he cleared it away in with it. So, and after that, you could just see the shoulder drop. But to be fair, Clark Harris, he tried to atone, he didn't just disappear into a corner or sulk, he tried to make up for it, but it was too late.
He ought to be goal kicking in the Six Nations, didn't he?
And Neil Redfern said after the game as well that Johnson Clark-Harris was really disappointed afterwards. His head were down and he needed picking up by his teammates, which maybe says something about him, that he didn't just go home and forget about it.
Well, that's right. I mean, he could have done, couldn't he? Because he was getting some stick from the crowd about it as well. But he did, as I say, he tried his best to atone. But and then, of course, the 4th goal just rubs it all in, doesn't it? And I think a lot of fans had gone home by then.
But let's not get carried away about a one attacking moment. Yeah, Rotherham have had problems scoring goals all season. They're actually they've done reasonable up front compared to their relegation rivals. The problems are at the back. If you lose 4-1, you don't have to go at the strikers. You've got to look at the defence. And we've now got to the point where they've got the 2nd worst defence in the league. And they've got to start finding a way to keep clean sheets, or they're going to get sucked right down into it.
Just to go back,
as if they weren't in it already.
Just to go back to that, Dave, 4-5-1 at home against a relegation rival. Correct decision?
Well, daft as it sounds, it was a game they daren't lose as well. I think his idea was to start with that, and then maybe after an hour, go up front and have a go for him. But they weren't trying to press the game Rotherham in the first half, but there were no imagination. They were a bit naive at times. Even though Charlton were really nervous at the back, it would just pad all around. And going back to Michael's point about goals conceded, 4 on Saturday, then conceded 2 to Cardiff. Before that, they conceded 3 to QPR. They're just leaking goals, too many.
Right, let's have a
scoring hatfuls either, are they? And I don't necessarily agree totally with Michael that you can't have a go at the strikers. You can have a go to when they miss penalties like
Absolutely.
that. And the fact that they weren't showing anything up front. I mean, they weren't going to score very many on Saturday.
But if you look at the teams that survive, they do it by getting scrappy 1-0 wins. You're not going to stay up by winning 5-4 every week. You've got to start with the defensive foundation. We're even trying to win 5-4 every week. You're not actually going to win 5-4 every week. You might get 2 or 3 1-0 wins, and you've got to start with a defensive foundation. We've said before, he's brought experienced defenders in. He's tried it. Evans tried it last summer, bringing experienced defenders in. Didn't work for him. Redfern's brought his own experienced defenders in, and they've got to start clicking very quickly.
Right, let's have a little look forward then, Dave. If the game against Charlton was a 6-pointer, then the game against Bolton next week away is possibly a 9-pointer.
It is, yeah. I think being away suited Charlton on Saturday because they had a bit more space and stuff to play in.
Is that so? Can Rotherham learn lessons when they go to Bolton next week? Maybe how to play as the away team?
Daft it sounds, I'd probably rather this one is away rather than at home, to be honest, down there. But Bolton are in the last chance alone, aren't they? So it's a big one, and it's another chance to put some distance between us and Bolton, put them out of the equation if we win. But they're going to have to get back to basics rather than get organised, get well drilled, and make it hard for teams.
Charlie, does it seem that Rotherham play better against the bigger teams? When it comes to the teams around them, they seem to struggle. But then they beat Brighton. You know what I mean? They beat the bigger teams.
It's lack of consistency. I think if Bolton are in the last chance saloon, then we're buying them a drink, aren't we? And they're buying us one. I just don't know whether we've got enough quality, to be honest, to survive. There's no point beating the top teams and then losing against the teams around you. And Bolton is a massive game. Like, they're all massive games now. They're all cup finals, as the old cliché say. But I think we,
Going to take one game at a time, haven't we?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure that we're going to get anything at Bolton.
If I can put a bit of an optimistic spin on things, one bright spot of the last couple of games is Chris Burke. He clearly has been a decent signing, puts himself about a bit, and he knows where the goal is. While we're getting those cliches in there.
Cliches, and then he played for Man City.
Well, it's funny that, the number of commentators that call him cliche, that's clearly me reversing that. He's had a decent start to his Rotherham career, so at least we've got a focal point for the attack.
And another positive as well, Dave Shinney looked really good when he came on, had some nice touches, got Rotherham moving forward, albeit the game was gone by then, really.
Yeah, I didn't notice Shinney too much, to be honest, but that busy looking at Charlton pouring forward down the flanks, it was... they've got to stick this in the outro and move on, haven't they?
Given the fact that it's February 1st, it means that it's transfer deadline day, close at 11 p.m. today. Neil said on Saturday that he's possibly looking for another central midfielder, and there's still a couple of players, Dave, who could be on their way out. Are we expecting too much movement today?
Well, he wants Greg Alford to get fixed up, doesn't he, with another club. Chris Maguire is a possible moving out. Ledesma needs matches as well. He does want some cover, does Redfern, in central midfield, but this is the group now he's got to go with between now and the end of the season, so there's not going to be too much happening today, I thought.
If I've got one wish for Neil Redfern's transfer deadline day, is to lock Joe Newell in the cellar somewhere and don't let him out, because losing Newell would be even less cause for optimism.
Charlie, where do you think Rotherham need to strengthen? I'm pretty sure you're going to say from goalkeeper to striker.
I think it's too late now. I think, as Dave says, you've got to put up with what you've got. You can't keep saying, we need this and we need that and need the other. It's about time that, they said, these are the players we've got, they've got to stand up and be counted, and if they're not good enough, then we'll go down. But I don't think bringing anybody in now is going to make any difference. Clubs aren't going to let anybody go who's any good, are they? So we're going to get the rubbish.
We're going to get the player that Leeds haven't been given a game to again.
Right, gentlemen, we'll wrap it up there, and I'll say thank you very much for your time. Remember to keep your eyes peeled on our Twitter account and on our Facebook for all the news on transfer deadline days, ins and outs, and anything else that is going off. Make sure you sign up to the match in your inbox every Monday at dinner time, and make sure you pick up your Rotherham Advertiser on Friday for all the preview to the Bolton game as well as the reaction to the Charlton game. Thank you very much for listening.